Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. We're watching a clip of First Take with Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe talking about the Celtics. Stephen A. apparently, and I haven't watched this clip yet, but apparently put the league on notice versus the Warriors. I call BS nonsense, okay? I'm going to let the clip run because I really want to hear what his reasoning is. But just off the top, I want to say absolutely not. And for the record, I think the Celtics are a great team and have a great chance of winning the NBA Finals. So this is nothing to do against the Celtics. I think they're a great team. Love Jaylen Brown. Love Tatum. Love everything they're doing. But this idea that by walloping the Warriors, that they put them on notice, the whole league on notice, is just silly and stupid to me. Because who are the Warriors this year? Yes, they were a little hot and went on a nice little run, but this idea that, you know, that they dominated them, no, not at all, okay? This isn't like the Ravens destroying the 49ers in a regular season game where everyone saw the 49ers as amazing, and that now it made everyone go, whoa, who are the Ravens? The Golden State Warriors are struggling just to make it to the play-in tournament. And it's a really young team going up against a really old team. So it doesn't make any sense. So I'm really curious to see what his logic is. Sounds like it's going to be a bunch of nonsense, but let's take a listen.
Start with you on this one. What does a win like this say about the Celtics?
Oh, they're putting the league on notice. Here they come. And that, you know, they're coming out of the East. They're coming here. They're focused on winning an NBA championship. I know that yesterday's game, we've seen 50-point losses before. Andrea, Shannon, what we haven't seen is a team being down 45 in the first half. There's only 24 minutes in the first half. It's only 24 minutes. I mean, that's what I was trying to say. It wasn't the fact that they lost by 52. It wasn't the fact that they were down by damn near 50 before it was over and they ultimately lost by 52 points. It was the fact that it was a 45-point deficit in the first half. There's levels to this. And the Boston Celtics are on it. They won 11 straight. They haven't lost since February 4th. They're 48, 9, and 12. And then you look at them. Top 3 defensively, top 3 offensively. Not one, but 2 stars. One's a superstar as far as I'm concerned. The other tinkers towards it in Jaylen Brown. We know what Tatum and Brown brings to the table. There was no Porzingis yesterday. This 7'3" dude that has been shooting 48% from the field in this winning streak and averaging about 23, 24 points. He wasn't even playing yesterday. It was that kind of romp, that kind of annihilation, that kind of beatdown. And you just look at the rest of the Eastern Conference and you say, my God, who can mess with them? Who can beat them? Then you look at the West and you're saying, who can deal with them outside of the Denver Nuggets? That's the question right there, and I think that's what this comes down to. Boston recognizes what it's all about, and they had a nationally televised audience, Jason Tatum's birthday, and they just put everybody on notice. This year's a bit different. We understand what this is all about, and we're not getting caught up in the sauce. We're here to make noise against everybody that we can at every moment we can.
For me, Stephen A., I hear you on all of those points, but this is a Golden State Warriors team that we've seen struggle all season long on the back end of a long road trip in which they got 3 wins on the road trip. Steph Curry didn't know if he was going to play. Podziemski's out. Wiggins is out. The rotations are off. Even in the first half, when you're missing 2 players, your rotations are off. The Warriors looked empty. There are different caveats and asterisks to even the first half of the Warriors' performance. I believe the Celtics, the statement that they're making is the stretch that they're on. But that game against a depleted, empty Warriors team that didn't even give much in the second half at all is not the statement. The statement is the stretch. The statement is not the game. I can't put too much on this game. You heard what Steve Kerr said after the game. They're going to flesh it completely. Steph, Draymond, Clay didn't even play in the second half. The main lineup in the second half, that was their first time playing together all season long, having that specific lineup. So I'm not putting too much on this game. I will put a lot on the Celtics stretch because it's been phenomenal the way they've been able to play. But this game, I'm not putting anything on this particular game.
Andrea, did Steph and Draymond play in the first half? You say they didn't play the entire second half, but did they play the first half? But see, I don't let Steve Kerr have it both ways. Now, when they win ball games, we can beat anybody and we can challenge for a championship. But when you get the brake drums beat off you, now all of a sudden it was a tough road stretch. Oh, and now all of a sudden we just flushed that one away. I'm not going to let you do that. And you're right, Stephen A. They played without Porzingis. What Porzingis is, he's like a couple of drops of water in my cognac, Shea by Laportier. He opens it up. He allows the whole floor to open up, and it expands Jason Tatum. It expands Jaylen Brown. And even though they didn't have him yesterday, they were still sensational. They made a conscious decision. They say, you know what, Jason Tatum, Stephen A., he's their superstar. We're going to sag off Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown says, you know what, I'm a professional. As a matter of fact, I have the highest contract. I make $304 million. And this is the disrespect y'all going to show me? Y'all going to sag off by 6 to 10 feet, go up under screens, and allow me to shoot wide open, uncontested threes? How disrespectful is that? And then y'all going to put these little small guys, Steph Curry, on me. Really? Really? Is that what y'all think? I did go back-to-back All-Star games. You're right. You want to say this game doesn't mean much. They beat the Golden State Warriors by 50. But the last 5 games, they won by an average of 30. They won 11 straight, 13 of 16. Stephen A., we had this conversation last week, and the question was, are the Boston Celtics on a tier by themselves? I say, as we currently speak, absolutely. The playoffs will be a different story. They know they must show up, show out during the playoffs. But as we sit here right now, ain't nobody close to them in the Eastern Conference.
Okay, that's fine. And I agree with that last part. But that's not what the question is. You know, it's about versus the Warriors. So I agree, and that's why I said at the top of this clip, is that the Celtics are a great team, an amazing team, and should be favored to be legit championship contenders. But beating the Warriors in this aspect is not impressive. It's not impressive. I shouldn't say it's not impressive, but it's not putting the league on notice. And you know, when he's saying that Steve Kerr can't have it both ways, that when they win, we can hang with the best of them, but when we lose, you know, we flush it down the toilet. That's exactly what you do in this situation. Because, first off, this loss, when you are a seasoned vet, when you're an older team, like the Warriors, like Steph Curry, Draymond, Clay, and all that, they know that once the game is lost, whether it's like the first quarter, second quarter, they know they're not coming back. Everything gets changed around. So yes, they played in the first half, but also Steph Curry, they all went ridiculously cold. Steph Curry could not make a shot. Neither could Clay. That's not normal behavior. And it wasn't just because the Celtics were just amazing and they just figured out how to they just suddenly figured out how to stop Steph. That's not what happened. Okay. So Steph played remarkably poor in the first half. And it wasn't just because of the Celtics' dominance and amazingness. So yes, when those things happen, you flush it down the toilet. Steve Kerr knows, especially because one basketball game. This is the difference between football versus basketball. And this is why I think Shannon Sharpe is having a difficulty with this. No disrespect to him. He knows football. But if you get blown out in a football game, depending on how it goes, right? Sometimes you get a blowout just because of some key fumbles or some just like, you know, really just unfortunate series of events, right? Back-to-back turnovers that just were flukes, and then things just kind of spiral. But sometimes a blowout in a football game is because they can't, right? The other team just cannot move the ball down the field. They cannot rush. They can't get penetration. They just can't do anything. Or the one quarterback just has no time in the pocket and he's running for his life the whole time. Or the other team and the quarterback is just tearing them apart. The receivers are too fast. The reads are just too good. It's just unstoppable, right? Sometimes those things happen. And that is just you showing this team is so much better than the other team. They know how to stop this other team, and this other team can't stop them, right? It's just as clear as day. Basketball is a lot more different. Sometimes shooters are the ball, it's just not falling. Sometimes Steph Curry is going, 5 for 5 from the 3-point line, and sometimes he's going 1 for 8. And you can't explain why. It has nothing to do with the defense. It's just sometimes he's making it, sometimes he's not. It's just you just can't explain it. Why sometimes Steph Curry's making all the shots, why LeBron James is making all the shots, and other times he's just hitting the back of the backboard, the back of the rim every single time. You just can't explain it. We to this day we still don't know. We really don't. It just is what it is. So when you get a blowout game in basketball, it doesn't always automatically mean, well, this team is just 50 points better. The Celtics are just 50 points better than the Warriors, and that just is what it is. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's the reality, but not always. That's why basketball, you play series. That's why you don't play 1 game, 2 games, 3 games. That's why it's best of 7. And that's why best of 5 even turned into best of 7. Because they know that over a long enough timeline, the better team is going to win. Okay? And again, I think the Celtics are definitely better than the Warriors. But yes, a long road trip and a long grind is harder for older players, even if you were succeeding in the beginning. And if it was a tough road trip and you were succeeding, and now you failed, or now you had a really bad game, yes, you do flush that down the toilet because you recognize we're not going to win every game, or that, you know what, this is going to be the hardest game. Steve Kerr, as a basketball savant and a seasoned veteran player and coach, knows at this point of the season, at this point in the trip, he knows, he circled, this is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a brutal game. And his mindset was, we're going to stay healthy. We're not going to empty the tank. Okay? We're going to play hard. And if the game is just clearly not, falling in our favor, we're just not going to lose too much sleep over it, because he knew this game was going to be hard. He wasn't going in for a statement game. He wasn't going in to try to push Steph and Clay and Dre and anyone else to the limits to be like, we need to make a statement and show everyone that we can compete with the Celtics. Because they know they don't have to face the Celtics unless they reach to the NBA Finals, unless both teams reach to the NBA Finals. So Steve Kerr's just not really focused on that. So as a coach and as a team, and the team itself, especially on road trips, they have their own beating heart. It's very hard to explain, but unless you really traveled, and this is something that football lacks. So for all you big football players, you might not know this because you don't travel in that regard. When you do travel, it's for 1 game, so it's different. But when you're traveling and you're playing multiple games, lots of games, on a road trip or in a shorter period of time, your team has a beating heart. You can just feel it. Everyone's either collectively ready or they're starting to collectively start to get more tired. They're going to get run down. And it all depends on when each game is played. If they had the Celtics in the beginning of the road trip, that's a completely different experience as to when they had it later in the road trip. There's just different levels to all of this. And again, an older team like the Warriors, who are also still trying to really figure stuff out, trying to figure out their own lineups and rotations and figuring out Clay and all of this. It's not the easiest situation to succeed in. And so again, the biggest thing that I'm emphasizing is like this idea that the Celtics have said, that's it, this is who we are, because look, we just beat the Warriors. This isn't the 2018 Warriors here. This isn't the 2019 Warriors. So to me, this just tells me nothing. Like, congratulations, you beat an older team in a regular season game, later in the season. It's like, okay, go do this in the playoffs. If they did this against the Bucks or against the Sixers with Joel Embiid, then I would say, yeah, those are some statements. Doing it against the Knicks and, all the teams that they're going to be really facing in the East, or the Nuggets, right? You did this against the Nuggets. That's kind of what the Baltimore Ravens did against the 49ers. The 49ers were seen as the Nuggets, and the Ravens were seen as the Celtics. And so when they played in the regular season game and walled them, they said, that's right, we are here. And it didn't work out too good for the Ravens. So this idea of putting anyone on notice is silly, because basketball games can easily get out of control, especially when when a young, fresh team with legs is going up against an older team that gets worn down with every minute that passes. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. I read every single comment, so if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, please let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really, really does help with the visibility and the algorithm, and I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.